gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Board Game Captain.
I'm Lynn.
And today, this is our WTF did you say about our favorite game? Or my favorite game? I think the title's going to be my. But, yeah, so Lynn got this idea. You said you got it from a booktuber you watch, yeah?
Yeah. One of the booktubers that I watched did a reaction to reading 1-star reviews of her favorite books.
So
and it was pretty funny.
So we took the top 5 games from our top 100 games of all time list that we did last year in 2018. Now these may not necessarily still be our top 5s, but they're still ones that we love. So we figured it was an easy way to do it. And we're not redoing our top 100 list until 2020. Want to give a little time, so there's plenty of differences. So we figured, though, these would be good. These would definitely be the top 5 games that we have of all time would definitely be good choices to do. So without any further ado, what we're going to do is we're going to take turns going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and reading some 1-star reviews to the other person about their favorite game from Board Game Geek and seeing what they think about their statements. Okay, so now I'm going to... All right, so Lynn's number 5 game of all time on last year's list was Mysterium. So let's see.
I'm ready.
Let's see. Are you? Have you prepared yourself? Are you braced? Are you braced for the comments?
I'm ready.
Okay, you ready? All right. Here we have a full-on review.
Okay.
This is quite literally the worst game I have ever played in my life. You do nothing for 1 hour. Then after the hour has passed, you ask, is that it? I don't even know if there is a game here. Definitely stick to Dixit.
I've never played Dixit. Why does everybody mention Dixit?
They're similar. Or maybe even Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. This game just fell completely flat for me, and I'm wary of trying it again.
I think you're being too dramatic.
That makes it funny, though.
You're making me laugh.
Well,
I can't be mad if I'm laughing.
Well, what do you think about that review?
Well, I think you probably played it wrong if they did nothing for an hour. I mean, you have to do something.
That's fair. Okay, next one. Meh. I think this person misunderstood the rating system because meh is not a 1. Meh is like a 4 or a 5, not a 1. Somebody wrote that someone else loves this game, therefore they have to hate it. I don't understand that at all.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a weird one. Okay, here we go. The main problem with this game is that the ghost, the player who gives the clues, usually spends about 10 minutes to decide which hints to give to other players. In the meantime, all other players just sit there waiting, chatting, and basically not playing the game. When they finally get the clue, they choose their pick in like 1 minute, and then they wait for another 10 minutes of pure boredom. That makes this game super boring for everyone except for the ghost that is in action all the time because he is rushing to give clues.
That sounds like a problem with that person's player group rather than a problem with the game.
I might be with you on that one because I've never felt that way at all about this game. Okay, so
I can understand how people who need to have their mind busy at all times there is a lot of downtime in Mysterium because sometimes it's hard to get the right cards.
But often there's space. I mean, I think there's a little downtime before the first person gets their clues. Then the first person gets their clues, and everybody starts helping them because it's cooperative.
Yeah.
So we're all like, oh, that could mean this, or that could mean that. And then it's a little while until the second person gets their clues, and from there on, it's nonstop. Everybody's just looking at stuff. And I never pick my thing in like 1 minute. Sometimes I'm debating about it way into the sand timer. So yeah, I disagree with that one. And I'm helping defend your game. Okay, so here's another one. This game is awful. So much downtime when waiting on clues. I honestly don't understand how people enjoy it. I was talked into buying it based on the recommendation of it's like a combination of Dixit and Codenames. It isn't. Most disappointing game I have ever paid money for.
So all these people sound like they just don't like games where they're not constantly being engaged with the game. So it's not the game for you.
That's fair. I never like rating a game low. I, however, find that this is not a game. It is a social exercise. I would rather watch paint dry than play this. I really don't like it. That's brilliant. You know what? I gotta give it to them. That is like a hilarious review. I mean, I really like this game too, but that's funny. I disagree about it just being a social exercise.
I just think that all these people, it's not the game. Like, not every game is for every person, and there's all these people that are playing Mysterium that shouldn't be, basically.
Okay, I think that's enough for the first game for Mysterium, but let's pass it on, and you can give some reviews of my number 5.
Okay, so your number 5 was Starfarers of Catan. Catan, whatever.
It's a made-up word. Pronounce it how you like.
So, we have one that says, the absolute worst game I have ever played, boring and painfully drawn out. Can barely look at this game, let alone play it again. Horrendous. And I like Catan games.
Boy, that's a tough one to respond to. I mean, he's not actually, other than saying it's horrendous and long and drawn out, he's not actually criticizing anything in particular about the game. And I don't understand, since he says he likes other Catan games, especially since this is my favorite Catan game. Absolutely my favorite Catan game. Wow. Yeah, I don't even really know what to say about that. That's a lot of hatred. Okay.
And there's one that says, long, repetitive, puerile, and putrid.
Well, he may have gotten one that was well past its expiration date if it was putrid. I mean, that's not the game's fault that he waited so long to buy it. You know, I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, it's a longer game. It definitely is a longer game, but I don't find it to be, like, long and drawn out. I find it to be long and engaging, personally. Yeah, so, I mean, long games are not for everyone, for sure. I mean, but if you like longer games, if you like longer involved games, because of all the time you spend building up your ship and building up building up your engine by colonizing different planets and getting trade contracts with different alien races, I really enjoy that. What else we got?
I'm going to go to the 2 stars just because there's not much in the 1 stars.
Okay. Well, there's a bigger one.
Stop peeking. You're not supposed to be peeking. An uninteresting, bad version of the original with a higher price tag and a pasted-on theme. The original is much better.
I could not disagree more. I think this is way better than the original.
Does the original have spaceships that you roll?
No, it doesn't. Wow. I mean, he just... Well, first off, it's a totally different game than the original. It has a lot of similarities in the rolling for resources and such, but they're not done like the island. It's whereas Star Trek Catan very much is the pasted-on theme of Star Trek on the original game. This one is totally different. You have the big board and there's the long space journeys to go do the colonizations and whatnot. There's a limited amount of information he or she gave about what they didn't like, but I definitely disagree. I think it's way better than the original Catan.
Okay. We have too long, too boring, too random, too fragile, too difficult to seize control of a spaceport, too little trading.
Now, while I love this game, and I do absolutely adore this game, this is the first review where I have stuff I agree with. Okay, so I love the way they themed this review, first of all. Kudos to you, sir, or madam, who themed this review with the numbers too long, too boring, too random, too fragile, too difficult to seize control of a spaceport, too little trading. there is kind of less. There is still some trading, but there is maybe a little less trading in this than there was in the original Catan. So I can see that. The two random, they're definitely, and this is very much a symptom of when it came out. Came out in the late 90s. Mm-hmm. There definitely is a lot of randomness in this game, and if you are uber competitive and can't deal with a lot of randomness, yeah, I could see how that could really grate on you. And the too fragile, I thoroughly agree with, because our copy, like most of our spaceships are broken at this point. So you know what? Kudos to you for the awesome review and the way you themed it, and also I actually agree with about half of your review. So,
do you want to?
You want to switch back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Looking up. Oh no. Mm-hmm. Oh no. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna cry.
Mm-hmm. So your number 4 was Bill and Ted's Excellent Board Game.
Nobody better say anything bad about this.
Well, of course they will. Oh, where's the
ratings?
Got it.
And
I always have trouble finding it.
It's got 0 1-star ratings.
Well, that's because it doesn't have that many ratings, because nobody ever actually played this game. All right, let's see what we can find here. Okay. All right, so reminds me a lot of Robo Rally with a twist, but in an even more chaotic and random way. Not my kind of game at all.
I don't know what Robo Rally is.
Well, it's a programming game where you program out the moves of your robot as they move around the board.
Okay,
so it does have a similar
I'm guessing
feel.
the random is from when you pick up the people.
Yes.
Because you get random moves.
You also get dealt random cards.
True.
But then you get to choose from the cards.
Yeah. And it is chaotic, but it's Bill and Ted. Like, it thematically, chaos encompasses them. Yeah.
Okay. The next one I've got here is excessively random mechanics make this game as much fun as just rolling a die to see who wins.
Is it really that random?
I don't think so.
I don't think it doesn't feel random.
There's a fair amount of randomness in it, but I'm actually ready to back you up on. I don't think it's that random, but a lot of people seem to disagree with us. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know.
I demoed Bill and Ted's Excellent Board Game at Gen Con. It has a fun theme. Awesome! Exclamation point. But it reminded me too much of Robo Rally, which I already own. Bogus! Exclamation point. So if you enjoy programmed movement games and don't have Robo Rally, I can't wait for the new edition. Then check it out, dudes. So this guy gave it guy or gal, I don't know, gave it 4 stars. And I have to say, I'm surprised at how good the review is of it for 4 stars.
Well, it just seems to be that everyone seems to think it's just a rethemed Robo Rally.
It's not really, but it does have similarities. I could see the similarities. Okay. Was way too chaotic for me. 2-player game felt utterly random. 4-player game was a bit better, but still almost no point to planning your moves. Like the movie, but I don't see myself playing this game again.
Lower player counts are it's a little bit better to plan your moves.
Yes.
When you have 4 players and you don't go first,
oh yeah, they could be anywhere. The bad guys.
Your moves don't matter. You're gonna do whatever's gonna happen, and you have no control over it. But I don't know.
All right, fair enough.
That's really bad.
I was gonna say there's not enough reviews actually. A lot of people haven't actually.
Yeah.
There's the most people gave this was a 6 stars, and that was 40 people. The second most was 7 stars, and that's 34 people. There's just not a huge amount of ratings on this in here. So I'm gonna pass it back over to you for my next one.
Okay. Hey, your next one is Terraforming Mars.
I love Terraforming Mars.
There are 93 1-star ratings.
Yes, but what's the most on? Oh, the most is 8. 8 stars, and how many ratings? How many people gave it a rating?
There's 9 and 8 Well, 11,000?
Both of them have, there's
Yeah.
11,000, over 11,000 people gave it either 9 or 8 stars each. 11,000 gave it 9 stars, 11,000 gave it 8 stars. So, yeah, this is a loved game. There's very few people that give this negative reviews.
So, we have the first one. Cards play you. Drafting helps a little, but game offers little choice.
All right. I don't think this person was playing the same game I was playing. At all. No. There's lots of choices.
Terrible and boring.
Lies and deceptions.
Okay, here's a good one. I continue to find the popularity of this game and its expansions quite remarkable. I find them thoroughly unenjoyable and would sooner warm my house with a copy than play that copy.
Clever. It's a clever review. But yeah, the only part of that review that I agree with is that they find the popularity of the game remarkable. It definitely is remarkable, but for me, in a much more positive way, obviously.
Someone else says, meh, multiplayer solitaire.
Again, this is someone who doesn't understand the rating system, because a 1-star rating is not meh. Meh is like a 5-star rating.
Okay, what about the multiplayer solitaire part?
That's not true at all, though. You fight over the spaces on the board. You know, you're. I mean, it is a Euro game, and Euro games have very little interaction between players. But I do disagree. There is some competing for the different locations on the board. But I like games. I like games both with a lot of player interaction and with very little player interaction. I like a variety of games. So
it's a really long one.
Do it. You got to do it.
Oh, jeez.
This will probably be the last one. Go for it.
This goes on for many, many paragraphs.
Do the conclusion. It says in conclusion.
Oh. Okay. In conclusion, Terraforming Mars is, in my humble opinion, an okay game, but one that mechanically just isn't very good. It reminds me of a pop song that is at first striking, but on subsequent listens just doesn't hold up. It is also endemic of the myopic nature of board games that this currently resides at number 10 on BGG, as it does make a great first impression, after which the masses rush to the website to rate it as the best thing ever, when in reality and upon reflection, it is anything but.
Again, they said it's an okay game. There's a lot of people in here that don't understand the rating system. An okay game is not a 1. An okay game is a 5. If it's just like, it's okay.
Well,
it's a 5.
People can rate it
maybe
however
a 6.
they want.
Yeah, but this person just doesn't understand the rating system.
Just because Board Game Geek says what the stars mean doesn't mean everyone has to adhere to what they say.
Right, because people can do it wrong.
Okay, here you go.
Your next entry is The Duke. It's
a great game.
It is a great game, actually. I do agree with you on that. In fact, it has over 1.2 thousand 8-star ratings. Let's see. So actually, because this is so highly rated, while not having as many ratings as Terraforming Mars, the average score is an 8. So I had to go all the way up to 3s to find enough.
Okay.
People actually saying things about it. Every game of the Duke I played ends up in a consistent stalemate.
Wow.
Where I play something, you get rid of it, and we go on and on and on without a real sense of progression or climax. I will never accept playing it. I don't understand that last part.
Okay, well, I think it means he'll never accept an offer to play it.
Okay.
Well, that just means you're matched well with the other person.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't usually have that problem.
It's not the game's fault. It's you need to find someone who's either better or worse at the game than you.
Plus, once you switch over to the asymmetrical style of using one of the expansions, it makes it significantly different on either side. So, how about this one? I played it once and did not like it. Flipping the tiles all the time to see what is on the other side, I would rather play chess. All the king's men. Stratego! But know this. I think it was not this, but they typoed.
Oh, okay. Well, it could be Scottish, but know this.
No, they're Korean.
Oh, okay.
I think it was a typo. I think it was supposed to be not this.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I like that the moves are on the pieces, but hey, you do you.
Yeah. Okay. I got something in Hungarian. I'm not going to try it.
Okay.
Let's see. First game took 1.5 hours, which is much too long. I have a very specific thing to complain about.
Okay. They don't like long games.
Didn't like the randomness element as it can sway the game. After trying to memorize all the moves of each side of the pieces to work out strategy, I decided that I would rather play chess. I enjoy playing chess far more than playing this game, as each player is equal. Buy the Hive, chess, or Go instead. However, it was a nice idea and has a small board.
It seems like the majority of people who don't like it like chess, and I hate chess.
You might be onto something there, actually. There might be a direct correlation.
Yeah.
Well, because this has a lot more randomness in it, whereas people who like chess like it for the complete information and the complete lack of randomness. Mm-hmm. So that might be the issue, because you like games that have more randomness in them.
Yeah.
So, there we go. Let's pass it. I'll pass it on back.
Your next one is Blood Rage.
I love Blood Rage.
Okay.
I was screaming in Blood Rage there. That's what was
Were
happening.
you?
Oh, yes. I'm about to have a Blood Rage on people if they're going to talk like crap about Blood Rage.
Okay, this one.
Let's see how big it goes.
There's a more. It's not.
It's not that big.
No. Okay. Okay. This is going to be a long one. This is one of those games that completely turned me off. I played it once and was okay with it, but then I played again and I made a misplay in the first age. I was thrust into last place because of that, with no way to do anything to recover. The rage mechanic also, plus the fact that people can steal rage, completely kills the game for me. It's supposed to be a constraint, but it feels more like I'm getting locked into choices because of what can happen in any given age. If you are new to this game, it can be a miserable experience, as anyone with experience has somewhat of a clue what to do, and you might not notice how badly they are messing your plan up. In my first game, I completely messed up a guy's plan by not taking an action which cost him the game. But since I didn't fight, he could not fight, and his game was set back big time. It honestly feels worse than Monopoly to me, and that is my most hated game. When you play with 4 to 5 people, the game gets rather long, and it makes me want to just play shorter games with similar player numbers. I would much rather play games like Bunny Kingdom, Ethnos, or Seven Wonders.
They're definitely a hardcore Eurogamer. I'm just saying. You know what? So here's the thing. I don't disagree that playing this game with very experienced players can be tough. There is very much a learning curve in this, where you start to realize what strategies work and what don't. You need to play it a couple times at least before you realize what works for this game and what doesn't. So I understand their frustration. But if they played with people that were more on an equal footing, I think it might be better. But also, it just sounds to me like they don't like how much player interaction there is in this game. And in this game, opposite to the one I had earlier with Starfarers and Catan, there is tons of player interaction in this game, down to and including attacking and destroying your opponent's forces. Or sometimes tricking your opponent into destroying your forces and getting points for it. So, yeah, I think this person needs more Euro games, basically. It's just not their style. I mean, it's kind of the epitome of the Amerithrash games, and if you're not into those, you're not going to like it.
Okay, so this one says, I played this game once. After the first of 3 rounds, I honestly thought we had the rules incorrect, as the game was so bad that I was certain that we had missed something. The only reason this game is rated so well is because of the miniatures. This is the worst game I have ever played within the strategy genre.
My first recommendation to them is to don't do drugs. Because they're definitely doing a lot of drugs if they think this is the worst game ever.
In the strategy genre.
Yeah, I just no, I'm only teasing. I'm not really saying that they're doing drugs, but you know what? This is an extreme opinion for something that obviously has a ludicrous number of people who love it and adore this game. That is a very extreme opinion. Now, maybe they just had a really bad experience with it. Maybe they really were getting something wrong. I don't know. Hard to say. But, I mean, they didn't specifically say what they were getting wrong, what they thought they were getting wrong, or call out any of the specific rules. So, like, a bad review like that is more just bashing on the game than actually telling you what they don't like about it. So it's hard for me to react to it.
Okay, so let's do one more. It says, this is a broken game. You win this game every time if you get all your players into the Ragnarok and lose the most battles. Winning battles is the worst thing you could do as a Viking warrior, apparently. The theme of the game does not work at all with the mechanics and scoring. I would think that the winner would be the last one standing, but what would I know?
Well, obviously they don't know about the fact that Vikings felt dying in battle guaranteed them a place in Valhalla. So actually winning when the world is ending is not necessarily a good thing, because you want to die in battle, so you'll wind up in Valhalla before the world actually ends. So actually, what do I know? Yeah, what do you know? I'm gonna go with that.
You're getting a little salty.
Sorry, they were talking about my blood rage.
Is it just you're gonna get more salt as we go?
I might get saltier. Yeah. Okay. All right, so your next one on the list, and it was your number 2 game of all time, and this was quite surprising. Someone had even specifically said that they were really surprised by it being on one of our lists, is Mahjong, which you absolutely love. But let's see what some people have to say about the Mahjong, because this actually, of our top 10, our top 5 that we were going over, this has an average of only 7 stars. So this is actually one of the lower rated games, because a lot of the other ones were, not all of them, but a lot of them were fairly highly rated. So, okay. Horribly random, with a pile of uselessly complex rules.
Oh my God.
Playing basic rummy is better than this.
Well, yeah, if you can't grasp the rules, maybe you should play basic rummy.
Okay, you're going to like this one. American rules deserve a rating of 1. I want to play the Chinese version someday.
Oh, yes, the Chinese version is a lot better. It makes sense. They're, like, everything that you there's a set standard of things that score, not just, like, random things that some lady with, like, blue hair decides every year.
A punk rocker?
You know, the blue wash. When people have silver hair, they use that blue wash.
I was joking.
Okay. Whatever. What?
I don't like gambling.
You don't have to gamble. I mean,
I thought that was funny, though.
Was he playing it in Chinatown with a bunch
Well,
of old men?
They're from Hong Kong.
Oh, okay.
Maybe nobody plays without gambling over there.
They were probably playing.
Okay, this is a good one.
Okay.
Almost not a game.
What? How is it almost not a game?
This game needs new rules. Not my cuppa at all.
Okay.
I love some of these short ones. All right, now I'm very confused. Favorite gambling game, miss the days when the extended family would play for at least 5 hours at a time. Why are they giving it a 2?
Maybe they don't like gambling games?
I mean, it's got to be a mistake. They must have accidentally gave it a 2. Here's one. I just had an idea for a strategy. Oh, no, wait. Strategies are specifically forbidden in this game. Wave bye-bye to that piece you need. You have no way of ever getting it. I guess if you consider roulette to be a game, then this would be a game as well. I do not consider roulette to be a game.
Is he talking about when you discard only the person?
Yeah. I think so.
Because, yeah, when you discard, it's like only the person to your left or something can grab the tile. So it's like, yeah. Okay. That's pretty funny.
This is a weird one. What's with the bricks? Building a small fort to start every round? Make it a deck of cards already. It's a card game, dagnabbit. They actually typed dagnabbit.
Building the little fort is the best part. It's like Legos and like a like set collecting game all in one.
That was just a funny review. Most rules explanations for this game are opaque and obtuse. But once the formal sequence of play is explained, it's quite straightforward. Most of the complexity and variation comes in scoring, which isn't even that bad. The game itself is pretty random. If you count tiles, you can improve your play, and you can take some calculated risks. So while there are elements of skill, there isn't anything in the game that I would call strategy. A good set of tiles adds excellent aesthetic that is pleasing regardless of the game itself. That was a very soft negative review.
Yeah, it just seems that they prefer strategy games. Games with strategy.
I used to play this a lot with my parents. Luck is too much of a factor, and a full 4 wins game takes too long for me to have much interest in it anymore. Still love the feel and smell of the components, though, as well as the feeling of a ritual surrounding the game.
It does take like 4,800 hours to finish a complete game.
So you don't even really disagree that much with them. It is very long. First off, clacktastic. Secondly, I was taught this game by a drunken Japanese man in Takefu, Japan. This says a lot about my understanding of the game. How does any of that have a bearing on the game? Oh, this is another. Oh my goodness. Alcohol and drugs seem to play a large part of these reviews. Last one. I guess if you are drunk or on drugs, this may be interesting, but I prefer something with meaningful decisions.
Okay.
So I guess they're ragging on the fact that you do have limited choices. Okay. enough of that. We'll switch back over.
So I'm going to have to go to a different one. Okay. This one is Wasteland Express.
I love Wasteland Express. And what is the average star rating for Wasteland Express?
8.
So yeah, it's going to be hard actually to find some negative ones on this. It's another one that's difficult.
Yeah,
You're already in the 2s,
I have
aren't
to
you?
go to 2. It looks like there's one for 2. Okay, so it says the game is very well presented and has a great look.
I agree.
But once the game started and the randomness kicked in, I lost all interest, especially after one player finished an objective on their first turn to gain a big advantage and just steamrollered on to a win 2 hours later while others were left floundering in their wake. Not fun. We'll never play again.
If it took them 2 hours to get a win, I think they had plenty of time to catch up. I'm just saying, if they didn't catch up in those 2 hours, it's on them. God, they must have done something crazy to get an objective on the first turn, though.
That one's in Spanish. This one says, a bit robust for my taste. Not much you can do to stop opponents who are blazing ahead. Even with a rating of 3, I liked it a lot more than I thought I would.
See, that's a very soft negative review at a 3. But a bit robust, I like big games that I cannot lie. Anyway, yeah, I like big, heavy games. I like games with a lot going on, and this is one of those. And big games are not for everybody. So I think that's basically what that one boils down to.
A hot, stupid, pointless mess of a game.
Oh, that's it?
Yes.
No, it's not. Definitely not. It's an amazing game. I mean, I don't know what else I could say as a response to that. Not very detailed review.
Okay, so there's a little bit longer one.
Okay.
It says, pretty bad game. The missions are 75% the same mission with slightly different rewards. There are only like 3 types of allies in the deck, and the events just slow the game way down for everyone. The worst part of the game, though, is the fact that everyone has to do every aspect of the game. You can only pillage bad guys 1 time per round. Why? Because the game says so. You can only purchase goods from stores once a round, no matter how many you visit. Why? Because the game says so. There is no being good at something and taking that route to winning, because you have to do all the aspects of the game every round or you won't win. Don't waste your money.
Okay. Now this is a quality negative review. Even though I adore this game, I have to point out that this person has legitimate gripes. Unlike a lot of the other games where people just like, it sucks. And it's like, really, dude? Why don't you like it? This person actually points out specific things that they don't like. And I have to give it to them. And to a certain extent, though obviously not as much because this is a 10-star game for me and only a 3-star game for this person, to a certain extent I agree with some of their points. So, okay. First thing is they say that most of the missions are very similar. It's true. A lot of the missions are fetch quests because it's a pick up and deliver game. That's a big part of it. Now, as for a lot of the allies being different variations of the same sort of allies, yes, that is a valid gripe. I don't think it's as big a deal as this person does, but it is a valid gripe. And as for the fact that the game restricts you from doing certain things more often in a single round, that comes to the worker placement aspect of the game, where there are limited spots for you to put your guys. Now, that forces you to take a varied strategy. This is true. You can't usually focus all in on something. But I kind of think that's more of a strength of the game than a weakness, that it makes you experience all of the awesomeness it has to offer. But then again, I love this game and this person didn't. But I actually, unlike some of the other reviews in here where people just wrote, it sucks, I thoroughly respect this person's opinion. Thoroughly. Because they backed it up with actual evidence and anecdotes.
I have one more. It says, not enough interaction between players. It's basically a solo game where you have to wait your turn to come around. Wait for your turn to come around.
Well, it depends on how you play it. I mean, when you can move, you can throw, like, you constantly throw raiders in people's faces.
What?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, I'm just saying, you always have lots of interaction, and then when people fight raiders, someone else gets to roll the dice for them. Now, granted, that's not you rolling for yourself, it's you rolling for the bad guys, but I don't know, it still feels like interaction to me. Now, granted, a lot of the rest of the game does feel a little Euro-ish, actually.
Yeah.
But, even though it's an American-made game. But, yeah, I mean, I disagree. This is going to be interesting. So, Lynn's number 1 game, and probably still her number 1 game of all time, is Tales of the Arabian Nights, which actually does have a fairly high average rating. Its average rating is a 7.2 with the most ratings in 8. So the mode average is an 8, and the mean average is a 7.2. Now, but it does also have a lot of low ratings. There are a lot of games we have that have had very high average ratings like this, but usually they don't also have a lot of... This is kind of a divisive game, so they don't usually also have a lot of negative reviews, and this one does. Okay. Oh my god. I have to read this. Okay. It's hilarious.
Okay.
I'm composing myself.
Are you?
I'd prefer anal surgery to playing this again. Deeply, deeply offensive.
Offensive?
I don't know. I don't know where this is coming from. I didn't write the review. That's not me, I swear.
Offensive. It's historical. I mean,
it's not historical. It's mythical. It's mythical.
Well, yeah, it's Tales of the Arabian Nights. It's
based on a work of fiction.
Yeah. I mean, there's jinn and mermen and...
I believe it's a jinn. It's softer.
Whatever.
Your game can be ruined after several hours due to one very unlucky random encounter that you have no control over. Games like that should not exist.
I'm guessing he got thrown in jail.
Or possibly thrown in the ocean.
Yeah, well, when you're in jail, you can't win.
Yeah. No, and I might be with him on this one. All right. As cute as the game can try to be, gameplay itself is a crapshoot. Players wander around the board attempting to solve individual goals with as limited a player interaction as that implies, while making nearly random guesses at actions to perform in encounters before they are told what happens. Players can control their accumulation of points or even what statuses they pick up. Players can't control their accumulation of points or even what statuses they pick up. Particularly troubling is the game can grind to a total standstill from a combination of statuses or limited acquisition of points. Even if we assume that players can simply enjoy the experience of the thing, that is even hamstrung by the massive number of tables. Each turn starts with looking up how far you can move, then moving, which is either arbitrary or automatically based upon your current quest, drawing a card, cross-checking the space, adding together your modifiers, going through the Book of Tales, rolling the dice, picking a reaction, which is largely arbitrary based upon your quest and skills, looking it up in the reaction matrix, rolling your destiny die, flipping through the Book of Tales again, and finally you get a paragraph of text randomly burped at you by the Book of Tales, and maybe the choice to use a skill if you have a relevant one. There are 5 minutes of bookkeeping for every 2 minutes of play! Exclamation points!
Is that it?
Yeah.
Well,
it's pretty well thought out.
Yeah, I think that maybe games like this, with a lot of tables and charts and graphs, and a lot of cross-checking, are maybe just not for them. I personally like the charts and graphs and cross-checking.
This game has you cross-referencing complex tables by 2 players before you get a completely random result that you have no influence on whatsoever. You might as well just pick a completely random story from the book by throwing a dart at it. There is a game board, but there is no way to influence or predict the outcome of your movements. Therefore, your decisions don't matter at all. You might as well walk around blindly. This is the worst game I have ever played. And they put game in quotations.
This video has made me realize that I like games that have randomness, and maybe other people don't. Because Bill and Ted's Excellent Board Game, people are complaining about randomness, and this one, people are complaining how they have no control. I'm not disagreeing, because, yeah, you don't really have a whole lot of control. And half the time, when you choose something on the reaction matrix, it, like, the actual story that you get, it, like, doesn't make sense with what you chose to do. But, see, I find that randomness hysterical and fun.
I think that wraps that one up. It's about to go down.
Okay, so...
Oh my god. What? Most of the ratings are 10s. So what is the actual mean average on Twilight Imperium? 8.8? This is the highest average rating that any game...
Well, I asked 3rd or 4th just because I figured 3rd would have more
ratings. There's 2.5 thousand people that gave it 10 out of 10 stars. I would say the average Board Game Geek user is with me on this one. Definitely.
This is for Twilight Imperium. We're going to try to find a 1-star review. Okay. So here we go. We have stupidly complicated Risk in Space. No thank you. alternate title for this could easily be Game Setup, the game. No game should ever force you to dedicate an entire day to playing it, but this game manages to do just that. 2 hours of said day must be set aside for setup and breakdown. How ridiculous.
I don't disagree, but I don't think it's a problem. Now, this is actually... So, yeah. So, I would say in 4th edition, the average game is about 6 hours. And that's not including setup and breakdown. Though we've found ways to group the pieces so that it reduces the time on setup and breakdown. But yeah, this is not a game for people who don't like giant games. This is a game... And as for it being like a far more advanced version of Risk in space, again, I don't disagree. It's just, I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Okay, so here's one. Okay. Playing time is a big turnoff for me. Started one game, never finished. I do not understand how they didn't manage to fix this problem with this new edition. New modern board games which are coming out this day have normal playing time around 1 to 2 hours, even heavier Euro games, but no. TI4, new shiny edition, has to have 8-hour playing time. Bad design decision. And no matter what I say, new 5th edition will also suffer from the same problem. But the new artwork and slight tweaks in the game will elevate this game like it's a new miracle. But it's all the same, just little tweaks here and there which cannot justify the price which you are paying for what you get. And then it will collect dust on your shelf, and maybe you will find some foolish victim which will fall in a trap and give it a try.
This is, again, if this person likes 1 and 2 hour games, this is not the game for this person. And this is, this is a giant epic game. If you're someone who, and first off, big epic Euros, this person doesn't know what a big epic Euro is if they think they can play it in 2 hours. Because big epic Euro games are still 3 and 4 hours. This person is, when they're saying big epic games, they're actually probably talking about middleweight games. And this is a person who should stick to middleweight games and should not be playing these giant epic heavyweight games. It's just the wrong game for that person.
Okay. This one says, seems very dumbed down and simplified. If you want a simplified game, then epic long games are not for you. Being an old-time Avalon Hill player, I have no problem with lots of rules and intricacies in play. Simplifying Twilight Imperium makes it more of an overlong, bloated Euro, which it is not supposed to be. I prefer the harder tech tree with more prerequisites, as it makes more sense rather than... There's a typo, but I'm not exactly sure what that's supposed to mean. Since then having the right colors to get more, it seems like every aspect that some love with this new version is the very same aspects that make me never want to put it on my table or own it.
Grognard. That's definitely... If they think this isn't complicated enough for them still, that's definitely a Grognard. That is someone thoroughly set in their ways. They just, older edition was more complex, therefore better. The things they streamlined in this edition is what brought it down from 8 hours to 6 hours, and those were all good changes.
Okay, last one. It says, this game took too damn long. I would have been okay with the 10-hour time investment if the game felt solid. However, it felt way too random to justify the long playtime. I kept getting impossible secret quests and terrible action cards, so I just sat through half of the game watching my opponents compete for the victory. Also, it had elements of Take That and king making. Would consider playing again if it took 2 to 3 hours, but in reality, no.
You what, mate? I swear at me, Mom!
What?
I don't know.
What does that do with anything?
I just wanted to say it. Okay, so first off, no game has elements of king making. King making is something that people do in a game, and people can do in just about any game, because any game that goes on for longer than 20 minutes, if people start to realize someone else is winning, they can try to stab them in the back by helping someone else win. That's something that can happen in almost any longer game. That's not a fault of the game. That's a fault of the people you're playing with. What else did he complain about again?
Take that. It took 10 hours and it felt too random.
Okay, if he couldn't figure out, he says it took 10 hours, which first off, if it took 10 hours, you were doing something wrong. Hands down. Second, if you could not figure a way to achieve any of your goals in 10 hours of play, you were doing something wrong. That's more on him than it is on the game. I mean, for God's sakes, 10 hours of play and you couldn't get any of your goals and you get multiple goals. So that's ridiculous. And then the
Too
random code for you're bad at the game. Sorry, not sorry. So yeah, so that is our reactions to some
less. Well, you got more salty than me. I was generally like, yeah, I understand that. And you're like, you suck. You're bad at the game. You're terrible.
I'm not going to sugarcoat the truth for them. Okay, they need to learn it sometime. So, all joking aside, I'm mainly trying to be humorous because this video is meant to be funny. All joking aside, no, you're never going to find everyone agreeing on every game, and not every game is for every person, which was actually a big part of why we did this. Because our favorite games of all time have some people who absolutely loathe them. And they're not necessarily wrong, except for the people who just write a review that says, it sucks. Okay, if that's all you write, then you're wrong for not explaining why you dislike it. Which is why I always gave more respect to the people who did key pointed out what was wrong with the game. The last couple were really me just being funny. I'm just being silly. But yeah, not every game is for every person. There's lots of differences of opinions out there. Like whatever you like, regardless of what reviewers, even us, you hear us say, if you disagree with us, you're not wrong. You can like whatever game you like. But we thought this was funny, and we thought it was really funny to see what some people who loathe some of our favorite games thought, what they actually said about our favorite games. So there you have it. Did you guys enjoy this video? Would you like to see us do other similar videos like this? Feel free to comment down below what you thought of the video or what your opinions on some of these games were. Or maybe if you want to talk about some games that you like that you've heard a lot of negative reviews about, put it all in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see us do more like it, be sure to give it a like. Share it on all forms of social media. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. It's Kaptain spelled with a K on YouTube, and hit that little bell icon on my channel so you get updates every time I upload a new video. And until next time, game on.